Character Power, Chapter 4, The Intellectual Qualities. The second of the several classes of the character qualities is that known as the intellectual qualities. The several general qualities composing that class are shown in the diagram. You are now asked to consider each of the above stated character qualities composing the class of the intellectual qualities. Efficient observation. Efficient observation consists of the efficient, purposive observation of the objects, subjects, and events of one's experience. Observation means the act or faculty of taking notice, observing, noting with care, discovering. Observation depends upon the degree of attention and interest inspiring the act. Observation constitutes a most important factor in efficient thinking and reasoning. It supplies the raw material of thought. Likewise, it is the efficient basis of creative imagination, invention, and designing, and upon its foundation, the structure of memory is built. Our memory records and our images of reproductive imagination are but variants of observed things and facts. The three elements of efficient observation are: one, attention, in which the mind goes out toward the object of observation; two, interest, which inspires and holds the attention; and three, discrimination, which distinguishes between the discovery and detection of facts concerning things which contribute to our efficiency, on the one hand, and the noting of facts and things which serve no practical purpose or end in our lives, on the other hand. The excess negative of efficient observation is known as careless observation, in which are lacking all the elements of the positive quality. The majority of persons are deficient in observation, hence their lack of material for efficient thought, creative and constructive imagination, and effective memory. The excess negative of efficient observation is known as purposeless observation, in which the attention is devoted to every passing object of experience without rational discrimination based upon efficient use, purpose, or definite ends. It stores the mind with a lot of junk instead of with useful material. Efficient perception. Efficient perception consists of the efficient, purposive perception of the objects, subjects, and events of one's experience. Perception is the faculty or act of consciousness whereby it apprehends, comprehends, or takes cognizance of the reports of the senses reaching it in the form of sensation. Perception is the assimilation of the material supplied by observation. In observation, you note the things and facts of your experience. In perception, you identify those facts or things according to their nature and character, and thus know them for what they are. Perception furnishes the units of thought, reasoning, judgment, and constructive imagination. It supplies the building blocks from which the structures of efficient reasoning and invention are to be built. Percepts constitute the simple ideas from which are built and constituted our concepts, general ideas, logical classes, and other higher elements of thought. The deficiency negative of efficient perception is known as inefficient perception, in which are lacking all the elements of the positive quality. The great masses of persons lack the faculty of efficient perception, and thus are without the materials of efficient thought, reasoning, invention, constructive imagination, etc. The excess negative of efficient perception is known as non-discriminative perception. The excess negative of efficient perception is known as non-discriminative perception, which is characterized by the frittering away of perceptive power on objects, facts, and events, which are non-essential to our efficient thought, reasoning, and constructive imagination, and which fill the mind with a mass of worthless materials serving no useful or practical purpose. Perceptive power without discrimination is practically useless and serves to choke and clog the true perceptive areas of the mind. Logical reasoning. Logical reasoning consists of the employment of the reasoning faculties along the lines of logical inference, induction, and deduction. Reasoning is the act or process of proceeding from that which is known to that which is not known for the purpose of discovering truth. The report of the reasoning process is known as a judgment. A judgment is arrived at by means of the respective processes of analysis or the distinction of differences, of synthesis or the distinction of resemblances, and of inference or the distinction of essential identity. Logic may be styled the science of correct reasoning. It is a formal statement of the laws and rules of correct reasoning as discovered by the great thinkers of the race. It is not an artificial scheme or plan of reasoning, but is rather the formulation and statement of the principles which distinguish efficient and correct thinking and reasoning from that of the opposite character. Logic points out the road to the discovery of truth. The road itself already exists. It has existed ever since the rational faculties were created or evolved in man. The deficiency negative of logical reasoning is known as fallacious reasoning, or reasoning either A, based upon false premises, B, conducted upon illogical principles, C, resulting in an illogical and unwarranted conclusion or judgment, or D, combining all of these false methods. The great mass of persons reason more or less fallaciously, and therefore fail to reach the truth concerning the subjects under consideration. The excess negative of logical reasoning is known as hair-splitting reasoning, in which the main purpose and end of reasoning, i.e. the discovery of truth, is overlooked, and in which the technical form takes the place of the spirit and substance of the thought, in which one reasons about terms and forms rather than about things. The counterfeit reasoning is inefficient because it results in no real and practical advantage, use, or purpose, and also because it tends most readily to false and deceptive reasoning, casuistry, and sophistry. Constructive imagination. Constructive imagination consists of the employment of the faculty of imagination along constructive, creative, efficient lines towards some definite and useful purpose. Imagination, in its true sense, is the power of the mind to create mental images of objects of sense previously perceived, or the power to reconstruct or recombine the materials furnished by experience or memory, and to employ these for the accomplishment of some useful and practical purpose. In constructive imagination, the powers of imagination are employed for the purpose of construction, creation, in accordance with some definite purpose and towards some definite end. Constructive imagination is the chief instrument of the inventor, the designer, the forward-looking business or professional man, the workman, the military officer, the writer, the artist, etc. It is one of the most important and useful of the mental faculties and is truly a positive quality inasmuch as it tends to make you stronger, better, and more efficient. The deficiency negative of the constructive imagination is known as lack of imagination, in which the powers of imagination are not actively employed and applied, or in which they remain in an undeveloped state. The person lacking in imagination is under a serious handicap and will not be likely to move forward in life, for he cannot see ahead, plan, design, invent, or construct. The excess negative of constructive imagination is known as idle fancy, in which the powers of imagination, perhaps highly developed and active, are dissipated by reason of indulgence in idle fancy, daydreaming, building castles in Spain, purposeless reverie, etc., having no relation to practical life and being directed to no definite end. This phase of imagination is typically negative inasmuch as it tends to make you weaker, worse, and less efficient, according to the standard of positive efficiency as set forth in this instruction. Efficient memory. Efficient memory consists of the efficient purposive employment of the faculty of memory, the direction of the powers of memory to some definite useful purpose and end, according to the true principles and methods governing the employment of the processes of memory. The importance of an efficient memory need not be urged here. It is too well known to require argument. The usable knowledge of the individual is stored away in his memory, subject to efficient recollection, remembrance, and recognition. Memory is to the mind what the reproducing instrument is to the photograph. In either case, that which is recorded and stored away is practically useless if it cannot be reproduced. An efficient memory is truly positive in as much as it tends to make you stronger, better, and more efficient in a marked degree. It meets without qualification the test of the touchstone of positivity. The deficiency negative of efficient memory is known as inefficient memory, which is marked by an absence of practically all of the characteristics distinguishing the positive quality. An inefficient memory is a most serious handicap to the individual and is truly a negative quality, for it truly renders the individual weaker, worse, and less efficient in every way. The excess negative of efficient memory is known as memory of non-essentials, which is marked by an undue attention to and an unnecessary remembrance of the non-essential, trivial, useless, unimportant details and incidents of everyday experience. This kind of memory is frequently found in persons of undeveloped intellect, young children, savages, and also among the impractical, inefficient persons who abound on all sides. Such persons will be found to lack concentration and trained attention, and to have interest only in the trivialities of life.